بسط العدل وكظم الغيظ وإطفاء النائرة وضم أهل الفرقة. For the happiness of Hazrat Zahra, for the enlightenment of the graves of Muharram, of the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama, Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam, Awan al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Rahman and Rahim. Yesterday we began our discussion that centered around Makarim al-Akhlaq of Imam al-Sajjad, where the Imam begins to list the characteristics of those individuals that are the muttaqeen, those that are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those that have that God consciousness. Taqwa is often misinterpreted or mistranslated as the fear of God. Fear only comes when an individual has attained a level of understanding, has attained a level of ma'rifah. At the base level, taqwa is only the consciousness of God. When I can become conscious of God in every single aspect of my life, when I am God-wary in every single aspect of my life, when I can live my life knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching my every single action, and that I do not restrict now God to only the Musalla, or only to the month of Ramadan, or only to the month of Muharram, where I now change my actions, or I change the things that I do, when I can excel and transcend beyond this point, then I can enter into the second level of the ma'rifah of Allah. When I begin to now understand that God is everywhere, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows my every action, that God is watching every single thing that I do. And when I become conscious of that fact, then I enter the realm of where I try and understand Him. And when I begin to understand Allah, and I understand His majesty, and I understand my own insignificance, it is only at that time do I gain true taqwa, does the fear set in. That is that moment where you find in the life of every single Imam that their bodies began to shake every single time they would stand in prayer in front of Allah, or when they would see the water of wudu. Why? Because they understood in front of whom they're standing. They had that ma'rifah, and with that ma'rifah, with that understanding came the fear. Not fear of the punishment of God, but fear of their own insignificance in front of the majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they catch the companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Muawiyah asks him, says to him, Sufli Abul Hasan, tell me about Abul Hasan, tell me about Amir al-Mu'mineen. And he begins to list a number of things. One of the things that he says, أشهد بالله يا معاوية لقد رأيت في بعض مواقفي وقد أرخى الليل سدولا وقد غارت النجوم وهو واقف في محرابه قابض على لحيته يتململ تململ السليم ويبكي بكاء الوالح العذين وهو يقول يا دنيا غري غيري. He says, oh, I swear by Allah, O Muawiyah, that on a number of occasions I would see when the night was passing and the stars were disappearing, وَهُوَ وَاقِفٌ فِي مِحْرَابِهِ, he, Ali, would be standing in the mihrab of the masjid, قَابَضٌ عَلَى لَحْيَتِهِ, holding on to his beard, crying, weeping, يَتَمَلْمَلُ تَمَلْمُلَ السَّلِيمِ, his body shaking, writhing out of fear, like a man bitten by a venomous snake. And in this state that Ali was holding his beard, weeping, writhing out of fear, he would call out, Ya dunya ghurri ghayri, O dunya, go and deceive someone else, because Ali is not to be deceived. That is the height of taqwa. These individuals whom we follow, these individuals whom we claim to love, these are the guides towards Allah. They're not the be-all and end-all of creation, where at times we focus upon the arcs of salvation, not their destination. In al-Husayn Masba'ul Huda wa Safinatun Najah, that about Abdullah is the lantern of guidance, the ark of salvation, the ark towards where? Towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I cannot shed tears for Abu Abdullah without understanding Allah. I cannot mourn for Imam al-Husayn when I don't follow what Imam al-Husayn wanted for me. Because this love that we have within our hearts has effects. In fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi he says to Salman, he says, Ya Salman, hubbu ahl bayti, the love of my ahl al-bayt, yanfa'u fi sab'ati mawatin, says, O Salman, the love for my ahl al-bayt will aid you at 7 places. عند الوفاة, the first place that the love of ahl al-bayt will come and aid you is at the time of your death. When Malik al-Maut is ripping your soul from your body, and every single part of your body is screaming out as he is removing that soul at that time, our love will come and aid you. How does it aid us? This is a lecture in itself as to how the shifa'a, how the intercession of Ahl al-Bayt occurs at the time of death. Then the second thing that the Holy Prophet says وَعِنْدَ الْقَبْرِ, that our love will come to you in the grave. Our love will aid you in the grave. When the individual is placed within the darkness of his grave and there's no one there, say 5 lights will descend within the grave. And they will begin to fight off the adhab, the punishment that is entering into the grave from every side. And as they fight off all of the punishment, he will turn to them, say, who are you? And the first on the right will say, I am your salah. I am the manifestation of the salah that you prayed within the dunya that has come to defend you now at this time. Turns to the other, says you, he says, I am the manifestation of your fasting. Turns to the other, says, we are the manifestation of your hajj. Another says, I am the manifestation of your zakat and your khums. And then he turns to the brightest of them, the strongest of them. He says, you that is above my head, that is defending everything that is coming into my grave, defending me from everything. Says, what are you? He says, I am the manifestation of your love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Says that we will aid you at every point. عند القبر, your love of us Ahl al-Bayt will come and aid you in the grave. وعند النشور, the day that you are raised from the grave, and how that shifa'a of Ahl al-Bayt will help an individual. How it is that the adl of Allah turns into the fadl of Allah, where the justice of God now becomes the mercy of God on Yawm al-Qiyamah. It happens when Ahl al-Bayt enter the equation. And it's a whole lecture series in itself. I don't have time to go into it. I just want to touch on these various points. وَعِنْدَ الْحِسَابِ, at the time when your books are opened and the tallying of your deeds is happening, the narration says that each individual will be raised with their imam. And then the shifa of Ahl al-Bayt happens such that if the scale of deeds of the believer is tipped slightly towards him entering into hell, the A'imma will go and they will ask for the shifa'ah of that individual. And there's a whole narration that surrounds it as to how it is that they will aid that individual. وَعِنْدَ الْحِسَابِ وَعِنْدَ الْكِتَابِ, when the book of deeds is given to that individual in their hands, that we will aid you at that point. وَعِنْدَ الْمِيزَانِ, at the time when the scales are set up, we will aid you. وَعِنْدَ الصِّرَاط, and upon the sirat, a bridge that is thinner than a hair, sharper than a sword, we will aid you to cross it. And the sirat is 7,000 years long. There are 7 stages upon the sirat. Each stage is 1,000 years. And at each stage a person will be stopped and asked, tell us of your salah. Tell us of the wilayah that you had of Ahlul Bayt. Tell us of your Radd al-Madhalim. Tell us what you did to other individuals. Tell us about your sadaqah. 7 stages, 1,000 years of questioning at every stage. And people will pass in different speeds, with different speeds. The first group of individuals of the believers, they will pass over the sirat, which is 7,000 years long. It says they will pass over it like lightning. Those that are the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, they will pass over the sirat like lightning. The second group, karrih, the second group will pass over like at the speed of wind. The third group shall pass over at the speed of a galloping horse. The fourth group shall pass over while sliding themselves on their bellies and pulling themselves across the sirat. As said, sharper than a sword. They drag themselves on their stomachs across this bridge. And then the final group will be those individuals that will crawl on their hands and knees over the sirat. The first 2 groups are from amongst the followers of Ahlul Bayt. That Imam al-Rada salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. The Imam says, the one that comes for my ziyarah, I will come for his ziyarah at 3 times. This is the first time, at the time of his death, I will be there. Second, at the time of his scales, I will be there. وَعِنْدَ الصِّرَاط, and upon the sirat, I will be there. I will aid this individual at every stage of that journey. This love of Ahlul Bayt, amongst its benefits within the dunya, most of its benefits lie within the akhirah. But that love has requirements. It is not just enough for me to say that I love Ahlul Bayt and all of a sudden I'll be free from any punishment. It is not enough for me to say that I say Ya Ali, and so as a result of me saying Ya Ali, I'm saved. No. Says it is not enough for you to just say Ya Hussein. Could you please recite salawat? There's a It is not enough to say Ya Hussein. For an individual to be saved, there are certain requirements. The requirements of love. That in order for us to receive the shifa'ah of Ahlul Bayt, in order for us to be successful within the akhirah, there are certain things that I need to have within this dunya. If my actions do not reflect the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, then how can I hope to be saved in the akhirah? If I claim to love someone, and I say to them that I love you, but I don't want to do anything that you want from me. I dare those that are married to go home and to say to their spouse, I don't want to listen to anything that you have to say, but I love you. They say, go out and get some milk. Oh, I forgot to get the milk, but I love you. Yeah? I'd like to see how that pans out for people. It won't pan out very well. But yet we do it every single day with Ahl al-Bayt. Ali says, Al-Muhasinu zinatul rajul. Ali says, beard is the beautification of a man. I pass a razor over my face every day. Ali says that the Salatul Layl is the apple of my eyes. I've never prayed Salatul Layl in my life. I don't even know what Salatul Layl is. The Holy Prophet says the Quran is that thing that I will complain about on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That's my Lord, this ummah of mine have left this Quran alone. They never read this Quran, but I've never picked up the Quran since I finished it at the age of 8. I recited it and that was it. We teach our children, go, learn, recite the Quran. And we force them to go and learn, and they hate it, and they go and they learn it, and they're forced to reach the end. And they know as soon as we reach the age of 8 or 9, once I finish this, then I don't need to pick it up again. Why? Because mom and dad never pick it up. See, now that once I'm old, then I don't have to do this religion thing. Because it's only when I'm young that I'm forced, but I don't actually see mom and dad practicing it. And so this is how you create a nation of individuals that will not be able to recognize the Imam of their time. A group of individuals whom not only will they not be able to recognize the Imam of their time, but rather they would kill him. Because in Karbala, the example is there. That over 100,000 individuals stand in front of the Hujjah of Allah. He stands in front of them. And he says, am I not the son of Rasulullah? Am I not the son of Zahra? Am I not the one who you have heard about me from Rasulullah? And I say, yes you are, but we're still going to kill you. When he's asking for water, they say, Hussein, you won't drink water until you reach hell. When he asks for an opportunity to pray, they say, Hussein, what salah? Your salah is not accepted. And do we think that we are in some way distant from that reality? That that reality does not apply to us? No, that reality applies to us. Because the narrations in regards to our Imam say, those that awaited him, those that said, Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal all their life. I should actually point out one thing here. That the word is Al-Ajal with a Ayn. Often we of the Indo-Pak subcontinent will say Al-Ajal. Because we're getting, we get a bit lazy. We don't want to pronounce the Ayn. See, when we say Al-Ajal, it means come quickly. Hasten the reappearance. Al-Ajal with the Alif means slow it down. Yeah? So there's so many of us going, Al-Ajal, maybe that's why he's not here. And this is very important, the pronunciation. For example, an example that I give everywhere I go is the salawat. It's Allahumma salli with a sad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. That, oh Allah, bless Muhammad and ali Muhammad. I get lazy and I don't want to recite the sad. So I say, instead of it, I say Allahumma salli with the sin. I don't say Allahumma salli with the sad. See, Allahumma salli with the sad means, oh Allah, send your blessings upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli with the sin means, oh Allah, kill. It says, oh Allah, kill. See the difference? Come to Surah Tawheed. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad with the sad. Samad is one of the names of Allah with a sad. But when I say samad with the sin, it means manure. It means feces. So now I'm saying Allahu, and I can't be bothered to pronounce the Sad. So it's very important that we learn how to recite the Quran properly, and we learn how to pronounce the words properly. And there should be an active effort for us to do so. The narration says those that said Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal all their lives, when he reappears, they'll be the first to reject him. They'll be the first to turn against him. Why? Because he's coming with what the narrations say, a new religion. The people will say, what is this religion that you brought? We never followed this. Our forefathers had something different. Our forefathers did something totally different. This is new what you brought. What do you mean my cousin isn't my sister? She's like what do you mean I can't hug my cousin? She's like my sister. What do you mean I can't see my sister-in-law without her hijab? She's married to my brother. Do you see? The cultural Islam that we have created, where we think our understanding of hijab, be that cultural understanding of the Indo-Pak, or be that the Western adaptation of that Western culture we have adopted, that does not hold water in Islam. When he reappears and the true Islam comes, many will reject him. They'll say, what is he talking about? This is extreme stuff. It's what's in the heart that matters. It's what's inside that matters. No, it's not. With what is inside, action must also be shown. And at times, the action comes before the ma'rifah. First, one must act upon something. Later, the ma'rifah comes. Later, the understanding, the knowledge, the light comes. Because knowledge is a light within the heart of a believer that is bestowed by Allah. So those that awaited him will be the first to reject him because of their cultural understandings. And I dare say, maybe the way he looks, and this, by the way, this statement has caused me no end of problems in different places. That's not a warning, don't say it here. Maybe it is because the way that he may look is not what we wished him to look like. What is the image that I have of the 12th Imam in my head? Tall, handsome, fair, long flowing hair, an individual who is Arab looking. He must be someone, that's what fits in my mind, right? 7th Imam as well, 8th Imam as well, 9th Imam. But do we know that from the 6th Imam onwards, all the mothers were African of the Imams? Every single mother of the Imams following the 6th Imam were all African. In fact, the mother of Imam al-Hadi was Sudanese from the Berber tribe. Such that the narrations in Hadith refer to Imam al-Hadi as the black one. As the black one. I wonder what we would do if we had a black Imam. Be like, no. This, he can't be Imam. It's black. Huh? Come forward to the Imam of our time. We hear Roman princess. She was a Roman princess. There was a battle and the Muslims went, and then she was brought as a prisoner, and Imam al-Askari sent someone, and then they brought her, or Imam al-Hadi sent someone, then Imam al-Askari married. I dare anyone to show me where was there the battle between the Romans and the Muslims at that time in history? There's no battle. There's no overthrowing of a Caesar. In fact, the narration of Hazrat Narjis being from Rome has no sanad, has no chain of narrations. The one that has a chain of narration is that she was a Sudanese princess. Now imagine, with my ideals of what beauty are, or what beauty is, with my ideals of what Insanul Kamil should look like, the perfect human being should look like, imagine now if his skin color was slightly different. Be the first to reject him. Think about how it is that all these people that have awaited him all their lives, when he turns up, we're like, no, you don't look like you should. Well, we can't follow you. It's hypothetical. I'm not saying that the Imam is, no one knows what the Imam looks like. I'm saying to you, look, even genetically, if there's any scientists here, they can explain. Look at it. 6th Imam onwards, all the mothers, North African, Sudanese, Berber, ila akhir. This construct that we have created, this cultural understanding of the religion that we have created, when it gets attacked, it begins to crumble. I had the fortune or misfortune, I was about to say, of reciting in LA. That's no offense to anyone from LA. But I was in a center in LA. The amount of youth that had become atheists, and their parents did not know. Their parents thought, yeah, no, mashallah, my son is religious, he prays everything. Other youth turned around and said, by the way, you know this group of guys that you know, whose parents are really proud, they're all atheists. They've all left the deen. And all of the reasons are cultural. Because we haven't dived into Islam, the reality of Islam, to understand the philosophy behind every action. We've just been brought up to be told, no, you must do this, you must wear that, you must, without understanding the philosophy. And that's what creates weak individuals, creates weak ideals. It's then when people start going and knocking on the door of Western ideologies, trying to find an answer, find a solution, because Islam doesn't have it. No, it's because you don't have the capacity to sit down and understand and actually research and see what it is that the religion is actually saying. And so this whole cultural understanding that is created, when attacked, it's like a house of cards built on sand. The moment someone tackles one thing, the whole thing collapses in. I can't defend Tawheed, so then there's no way I can defend Imamat. Everything that I've learnt is off the minbar. And in 45 minutes to an hour, no one can give you what you need to get closer to Allah. I said yesterday that Amirul Mu'mineen was madloom in his time at the hands of his enemies, that he was taking Kumail ibn Ziyad al-Nakhai into the desert and saying to him, Ya Kumail, ha huna ilm al-jama'a. Kumail, there is lots of knowledge here, it's gathered here in this chest, but there's no one to take it. And today Ali is madloom because we have Nahj al-Balagha at home, but I've never read what it is that Amirul Mu'mineen actually said. This love of Ahlul Bayt will have its benefits, but we will never be able to reap the full benefits of it until and unless we gain a true understanding of the religion, gain a true understanding of the muttaqeen, of what it means to be those that are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yesterday we began looking at Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq, where in the dua the Imam is listing the perfect traits of the moral individual, the checklist for morality and ethics. Where the Imam is saying, my Lord, do not raise me darajatan in front of the people by one level, إِلَّا حَطَطَّنِي عَنْدَ نَفْسِ مِثْلَهَا, without reducing its equivalent within me, without humbling me to its equivalent. Or the Imam is there saying, and this dua, this part of the dua is very heavy for individuals, or at times for someone like myself to understand. The Imam is saying, Ilahi ammirni, my Lord, give me life. Ammirni ma kana umri bidlatan fi ta'atik. My Lord, give me life as long as it is in your servitude. وَمَا كَانَ عُمْرِي وَإِذَا مَرْتَأً لِلشَّيْطَانِ فَأَبِّدْنِي إِلَيْكَ. That if my life then turns towards the obedience of shaitan, take it from me, take my life from me. Praying for death, as long as my life is upon the path of Allah, upon the servitude to Allah, then continue to give me life. But the moment it takes a turn towards shaitan, فَأَبِّدْنِي إِلَيْكَ. Take it away from me. I don't want it. Yesterday we started with the sifat of the muttaqeen. It says, Ilahi albisni zinat al-muttaqeen. My Lord, clothe me in the clothing of the muttaqeen. Fi bast al-adl. Those that establish justice. Wa kadhmi al-ghayth. That swallow their anger. وَأَطْفَاءِ النَّائِرَةِ, that extinguish the flame of hatred within their hearts. We looked at those three yesterday. وَضَمَّ أَهْلِ الْفُرْقَةِ. The fourth thing that the Imam says is, and the muttaqeen are those that bring together those that have been disunited. Those that have fallen out with each other. The muttaqeen bring them back together. One of the places an individual is allowed to lie is in order to reconcile two mu'mineen. If you know that two believers have fallen out with each other, you can go to one side and say, you know, when they say, oh, this person was like this, says, yes, but he was saying really nice things about you. Even though this person wouldn't have said that. And then you can go over to the other side and say, oh, they were saying really nice things about you. That is the opportunity where, that is the time when a person is allowed to tell a lie. To bring and to reconcile two mu'mineen. To bring them together. We do the opposite. See people have fallen out, then what we do is, you know what he said about me. Let's go with this group. Yeah, they said this about people. You know, we make sure that that rift that's there, I can exploit it as much as possible, so that I'm right there and I can benefit. And by the way, Yawm al-Qiyamah, there are certain groups of individuals where in the hadith of Mu'adh bin Jabal, the Holy Prophet, Mu'adh asked the Holy Prophet, says, Ya Rasulullah, what does it mean when in the Holy Quran it says, فَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا, and when the trumpet is blown, people shall come out in groups. One of the groups that Rasulullah talks about to Mu'adh bin Jabal, he says there will be a group of individuals that will be brought out in the form of monkeys. Ya Rasulullah, what will be their crime? These were those individuals in the dunya that would take the gossip of one group and take it to another and bring the gossip of that group and bring it over to another individual. Says they would take stories from one place to another. Says those individuals, the Holy Prophet in Surah Al-Qalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises him. Says, do not listen to the advice of 9 groups of people. One of those groups of people, the Holy Prophet says, is a group that takes too many oaths. Yeah, one person, a person that always says, no, qasam, this, honestly, by God, wallah, Allah, this person, on the Quran, Abul Fadl, everyone, you know, this individual cannot say anything but take an oath with it. Says, don't listen to that person. Don't listen to anything that person has to say. The second group of individuals not to listen to is those individuals that take or that are the tale tellers. They have gossip about everyone. You want to know something about someone's life? That's the go-to person. Because they know everything. They know the intricacies. They know how these people deal with their lives. They even know their accounts. They know everything. He says, don't listen to that person who lives their life telling tales of other people, slandering other people. An individual that knows about others. Just don't listen to that person. So الضَّمَّ أَهْلِ الْفُرْقَةِ, they're those that bring together the people of unity. وَأَصْلَاحِ ذَاتِ الْبَيْنِ, and they do islah, they correct that which is a fitna within the society. They correct the bid'ah within society. And one of the reasons why Karbala occurred, the letter that Imam al-Hussein writes to the people of Basra, before he writes the letter to the people of Kufa, please recite salawat. I'd appreciate if the sisters at the back could not talk. I can hear you. Thank you. So the second letter, or the first letter that Sayyid al-Shuhada sends to the people of Basra, before he sends a letter to Kufa, before Ibn Ziyad is called to Kufa, Ibn Ziyad is the governor of Basra. In that letter, Imam Hussein gives the reason for why Karbala has to happen. He says, "Ala wa inna sunnata qad umitat, wa inna al-bid'ata qad uhyiyat." He says two reasons. The first reason is that the sunnah of the Prophet has been killed. And the second reason is that innovation has become rife within society. People are creating new rules for themselves, new laws for themselves. And the sunnah of the Prophet is no longer being adhered to. So Sayyid al-Shuhada goes out in order to reform that, in order to revive not just the sunnah of Rasulullah, but also the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. You find that constantly within Karbala, Imam Hussein has a separate reference to Amir al-Mu'mineen. You find in the letter that he gives to Muhammad al-Hanafiya, وَأَصِيرُ بِسِيرَةِ جَدِّي وَأَبِي عَلِيَّ بْنِ أَبِي طَالِبٍ, I'm going to walk upon the path of my grandfather and my father Ali. Or when he goes out in awe and he rides out and recites his war poetry, he says, أَنَا ابْنُ عَلِيٍّ الطَّهْرِ مِنْ آلِ هَاشِمٍ كَفَانِ بِهَذَا مَفْخَرٍ هِينَ أَفْخَرٍ, that I am the son of that pure Ali from Bani Hashim. If I choose to be proud over anything in my life, it is enough for me to be proud that I am the son of Ali. Why is it that Sayyid al-Shuhada is doing that? Because that nation, when he turns to them, he says, why are you so hell-bent on killing me? Why do you want to kill me? Why have you made my blood halal for yourself? Am I not the son of Rasulullah? He said that. They say, yes, we accept. Says, then why? Says, بغضاً لأبيك. It's because we hated your father. It's because we hated your father that we are willing and we are ready to do this to you today. وَإِصْلَاحِ ذَاتِ الْبَيْنِ. The muttaqeen are those that try and repair discord within their society. When there is deviation within society, they stand against it. They do amr bil ma'ruf, they do nahi anil munkar wa ifsha' al 'arifa, and they spread good behavior. They spread good akhlaq. They are the embodiment of good manners. And they promote it to others. It's not that I just sit here and I say to you, don't lie, don't do this, and then I go off and do exactly the same thing. No, spreading good behavior comes with the actions of an individual. They want to spread that good within society. They want to reform their society. And the one that reforms, the one that has that love of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, is only one that has pain of their nation. You can't truly do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar if you don't care about your society, if you don't care about your community, if you don't really want them to succeed. In fact, the best example of it is from the Holy Quran in Surah Yasin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلًا أَصْحَابَ الْقَرْيَةِ, and tell them of the story of the people of the town where we sent to them the Mursaleen. 3 prophets went to the people of Antioch, modern day Turkey. 3 prophets were sent to them. The result of these 3 prophets going is the people of Antioch turned against them. They were ready to kill these prophets. وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And a man came running from outside of the city, and his people were there ready to kill the prophets. وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. A man came running from outside of the city. قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ. He cries out, "Oh my people, obey the Mursaleen. Obey the Mursaleen. Obey the prophets of God." They turn around and they kill him. This man is the man of Ali Yasin. Mu'min Ali Yasin by the name of Habib al-Najjar. When Habib Najjar comes to try and reform his society, says obey the Mursaleen, they turn around, they kill him. What does it mean to have the pain of your community and actually want your community to succeed? The Quran says, we said to him, قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. We said to him, Habib Najjar, enter into Jannah. There's no questioning for you. There's no book of deeds for you. You've done such an action that now for you it is straight to heaven. What does he say? قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِي يَعْلَمُونَ. How I wish my people had known. If only they had understood. If only they had listened to me. They too could have benefited from what I have today. وَإِفْشَاءِ الْعَارِفَةِ. The muttaqeen are those that spread that which is good. And Ahlul Bayt did that. At every stage you see within the journey of Karbala, you find Sayyid al-Shuhada, you find Imam al-Sajjad constantly trying to promote that good, to spread that good within society. And yet what this nation did to Ahlul Bayt, when one thinks about it, as to what it is that Imam al-Sajjad went through. These days, today, the day that passed, was the day of the Shahadat of Imam al-Sajjad. And what is it that Sajjad saw throughout his life? And then what is it Sajjad saw in those few days that they were there on the plains of Karbala? And I was thinking earlier that where do I start the Masa'ib of Imam al-Sajjad? Do I start his Masa'ib from the 7th of Muharram when the water is cut? Or do I start his Masa'ib from the 4th of Muharram when the food ran out in the tents of Ahlul Bayt? Or do I start the Masa'ib of Sajjad from the Asr of Ashura? That when they began to surround the body of Abi Abdullah, and Imam al-Hussein, wounded, returns back one last time, and he comes to see his son. he says to him that Sajjad, your father bids farewell to you. He opens his eyes, he sees his father. He says, Father, what state do I find you in? Aina aini ammi al-Abbas. Oh, uncle, oh, my father, where is my uncle Abbas? He turns around to him, he says, Abbas has been killed. He says, where is my brother Ali Akbar? He says, your brother Ali Akbar has been killed. He says, where is Qasim? He says, Qasim has been killed. Then Imam al-Hussein says to him, Sajjad, it is enough for you to know that from the men it is only me and you that remain. And then Imam al-Hussein goes out and you hear of the shahadat of Imam al-Hussein. And then the tents begin burning and Sajjad arises to the station of Imamat. And the first question Sajjad is asked is by his aunt Zainab, Sajjad, do we stay inside and burn, or do we leave and go in front of the Muharram of Bani Umayyah? But there is a second question that Zainab also asks. This question after the burning of the tents. They say there was a sound like shattering glass that was heard in Karbala. Sayyidah Zainab now comes to Imam al-Sajjad, says, Sajjad, what was this sound that we heard on the plains of Karbala? He says, Awan, Zainab, the sound that you heard was the sound of the breaking of the ribs of my father, Abi Abdullah. They've started running horses over the chest of my father. Do I start the musibah of Sajjad from Asr Ashur, or do I start his musibah from the 11th of Muharram, where tied upon a camel, he's being made to go past the body of his father, that Sayyidah Zainab looks towards him, says, Sajjad, what is this state I find you in? It looks as if you're going to die. Says, oh Aunt Zainab, how can I not? When I see my father's body lying there beheaded upon the plains of Karbala, and I'm unable to give him ghusl, unable to give him kafan. Or do I start the musibah of Sajjad from the 13th of Muharram, when with the power of Tayy al-Ard, Sajjad comes back to the land of Karbala and finds Bani Asad standing around, the bodies perplexed, not knowing what to do. He approaches them, he says, what is it that has perplexed you? They say, none of these bodies have heads upon them. We don't know whose body is whose. Says, that body that you see that is crushed, فَقَطَّعُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا, the body that you see that is mutilated lying at the side, that is the body of my brother Ali al-Akbar. That body that you see that has the signs, that has the marks of the hooves of the horses, that's the body of my cousin Qasim. And this body that you find that has been chopped to bits on the banks of the Furat, that was the body of my uncle Abbas. And this body you find that is covered in arrows, is covered with stones, that you can't find anywhere on the body that is not covered in a wound, that is the body of my father Abi Abdullah. They say Imam al-Sajjad, he dug up the ground, he buried all the shuhada, then he comes to bury Abi Abdullah. He lowers the body of his father into the grave, and then they say Sajjad began looking across the earth of Karbala. Bani Asad say to him, Imam, what is it that you're looking for? He says, I'm missing something. Says, what is it that you're looking for? Says, when my father's body lay upon the plains of Karbala, and they began looting the body of my father, and everything was stolen from his body. When Mal'un came towards the body of my father, he saw the only thing that was there left to steal was the ring that my father was wearing on his hand. He tried to remove the ring, but the ring would not come off. He took his dagger, he cut off the finger of my father. He says, I'm looking for the finger of my father, Abi Abdullah. They say Sajjad found the finger, he placed it with the body. Now again Sajjad begins to look across the earth. They say, Imam, what is it that you look for now? He says, I remembered the wasiyah of my father. My father said to me, Sajjad, when you come to bury me, bury my child Ali al-Asghar on my chest. They say Sajjad began looking across the earth of Karbala. He finds the headless body of Ali Asghar lying there. In yesterday's musibah, I said to you, Abi Abdullah buried the body of Ali Asghar. He placed his cheek on the earth of the grave of Ali Asghar, and he cried till the grave of Ali was filled with tears. But now, how is it that the grave of Ali Asghar, how is it that his grave has been desecrated, that his body is lying on the earth of Karbala? They say on the 11th of Muharram, when the heads began to be given out to those that had crushed the body of Imam al-Hussein with their horses, one man came towards Umar ibn Sa'ad. He said, "Oh Umar ibn Sa'ad, I also ran my horse over the body of Hussein, but no one has given me a head to carry to get a reward from Ibn Ziyad." He says to him, "I've given out all of the heads that we had." He says, "No, I too demand a head of Bani Hashim." They say Umar ibn Sa'ad began thinking. He says, "What about the 6-month-old child of Abi Abdullah?" Says, "What about the 6-month-old child?" One Mal'un says, when Umar ibn Sa'ad asked this, I told him, I said, "I saw Hussein bury the child where the tents used to be." He says, "As soon as I said this, I regretted saying this to Umar ibn Sa'ad." Says, at that moment, Umar ibn Sa'ad ordered 40 men to take spears within their hands. Rabab is watching, Zainab is watching, Sakina is watching. 40 men, spears in their hands. They begin to strike the earth of Karbala with their spears. One Mal'un strikes the earth. When he pulls out his spear, the body of Ali Asghar at the end. He takes the body of Ali. The narration says he places one hand on the head of Ali, one hand at the feet of Ali. He pulls the child's body apart. He throws the body to the earth of Karbala. Sajjad says, "I'm looking for the body of my brother Ali." He finds the body, he places it upon the chest of Abi Abdullah. He buries his father. And there are many things that made Sajjad cry. Throughout this whole time following Karbala, 35 years Imam Sajjad cried for Abu Abdullah. But there was one place that made Sajjad cry the most. When they asked him, "Imam, where was the place that the most amount of dhulm befell you?" He turned around and he said, "Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham." Nu'man ibn Manzar al-Madaini comes to Imam al-Sajjad. He said, "Ya Ibn Rasulullah, what is it that happened to you in Sham? What is it that befell you in Sham that you always mourn Sham?" Says Nu'man, "There are 7 things that happened to us in Sham. The first is that when we came towards the gates of the door of Sham, they took the heads of the shuhada, they placed them upon spears, then they placed each head next to the woman that was related to that individual. They placed the head of Ali Akbar in front of Layla, they placed the head of Abu Abdullah in front of Zainab, they placed the head of Ali Asghar in front of Rabab." They said that the women would look towards the heads and then they would begin to see that these individuals would knock the heads together upon the spears. Oh Nu'man, at times the heads would fall from the spears and be crushed under the feet of the camels. Nu'man, the second reason for why I say Sham is that when we entered into Sham, they placed their person to announce in front of the daughters of Ali and Batul. They would announce that these are those rebels that fought against the Khalifa. Come and take your revenge upon them. And all would come and view the daughters of Ali and Batul. The third reason, Nu'man, is they placed the daughters of Ali and Zahra amongst the drummers and the dancers. They would drum, they would dance. And the daughters of Ali and Batul were there amongst them. The fourth reason, Nu'man, is that they took us towards the marketplace of the slaves. Here they tried to sell the daughters of Ali and Zahra as slaves. Had it not been for the intervention of Allah, we would not have been saved from that fate. The fifth reason, Nu'man, is that they took us towards the place where the Jews and the Christians would live. And there they announced, these are those individuals that killed your elders in Khaybar and Khandak. Come and take your revenge from them. Not a single individual remained within the house, Nu'man, except that they came. They threw stones at the daughters of Ali and Fatima. They hit them, they attacked them. The sixth reason, Nu'man, is that the people of Sham, all of them mounted upon their rooftops, and they boiled water, and they would throw it upon the daughters of Ali and Zahra. Others would set fire to wood and throw it upon us. Oh Nu'man, there came a time when a piece of wood fell upon my imama, and my hands were tied. I couldn't remove it. It burnt my imama until the flames reached my head. The seventh reason, Nu'man, is that they kept us in a place, the house of ruins, a place where they would tie their animals, a place that had no roof. They kept the children of Abi Abdullah, the daughters of Ali and Zahra, amongst those animals. Oh Nu'man, during the day, the children of Imam al-Hussein would face the heat of the sun, and at night they would have no solace from the cold of the night. Nu'man, these are the reasons why I cry Sham. Of all the things that befell Imam al-Sajjad, 35 years he cried for Sham. But when that final moment came upon him and the poison began coursing through his body, he called Imam al-Baqir. He says to him, "Oh Baqir," he says, "take me off my bed, place me on the ground." Imam al-Baqir lays his father on the ground. He says, "Father, why is it that you're lying on the ground?" He says, "Oh Baqir, do you not remember how my father Abi Abdullah lied on the burning sands of Karbala?" A short while as Imam al-Sajjad is going in and out of consciousness, they say Imam al-Baqir came, he rested his head on the chest of his father. At that moment Imam al-Sajjad opens his eyes. He begins crying loudly. Imam al-Baqir says, "Oh father, did I hurt you in any way?" He says, "No, oh Baqir, but now that you are on my chest, my mind went to Karbala and how my father Abi Abdullah in his final moments, now in my final moments you are on my chest." But at that time on Asr Ashura, Ash-Shimru Jalasun ala Sadr al-Hussein, Shimr was on the chest of my father. He had grabbed the beard of my father and he hacked away towards the neck of my father. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these tears, Ya Allah, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them plastics to Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, suffering from physical ailments, mental health issues, Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears for Imam al-Sajjad and the illness that Imam al-Sajjad had in Karbala, Ya Allah, give them total shafa'ah. Ya Allah, those that are in debt, clear their debts. Those who in education, make them successful. Ya Allah, keep safe the Azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada around the world. Ya Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu around the world. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true mu'tadilin, his true waiters, Matam al-Hussein.